Hello, 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 hello. What's going on, fam? Kinfolk, greetings and salutations. It is Dr. Eric Coleman here. Want to talk about a clip today about relationships, how easy it is to confuse being intolerable and lonely with strong and independent. So before we get into it, I want to give you the opportunity. If you haven't on the show, please go to my YouTube channel, the Dr. Eric Coleman Show, and please click that subscribe button and like and the notifications so you can stay up to date with new material, new content that is coming out. And please, by all means, follow me on Instagram at Dr. K. Coleman. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the clip for today that we're gonna discuss. Um, Quite interesting one. So let's just go ahead and jump into it, and we will provide some commentary as we go and have this conversation. Crystal, you have a question. I I don't have a list. I need to know, do I need to be more needy, more demure? Because I'm pretty independent. I mean, I enjoy dirt bike riding and camping and going and hiking, and I don't I don't needy for a guy. If I'm with Okay, let's stop there for a second. Let's unpack this for a moment. We have this young lady here who is on the Dr. Phil show along with Steve Harvey, and they're collaborating here to provide relationship advice to a guest. And this young lady has just stated that she does not know how to be needy for a guy. She says that she's very independent. And with her lead in, which is quite alarming here, she leads in with saying, um, to substantiate or justify her claim as being independent and strong is not anything specifically that reflects herself of who she is, but she starts off the conversation with talking about the things that she does. If you notice here, she starts mentioning she likes horseback riding, she likes camping and hiking. Um, Great things, fun things for people to do in her recreational time. But nothing about what she just said in those few words would lead any guy, um, right off the cuff of her getting her 15 minutes of fame on this show. It doesn't speak anything to her character, doesn't speak anything to her morals, doesn't speak anything to what it is that she is looking for in a companion, in a guy, in a relationship. So again, right off the bat, uh, we have this distorted. She has this distorted view about what this idea or what this phrase that's thrown around as to I am strong and I am independent. Let's go ahead and continue the clip. I do it because I want you. Here's what I wrote down something you said that I thought was really significant. She says that she can't find a nice guy who wants to keep her because the men in her hometown only want women who treat them badly, are high drama, are high maintenance, and throw hissy fits and constantly complain. Yeah. All right, fam. She says she wants a guy that she just genuinely wants. She doesn't want to feel needy. But as of yet, she still has not unpacked what does that mean when she says that she does not want to feel needy. She doesn't want to have to come to a guy and I guess exhibit some type of dependence on this guy. And yet again, We still haven't heard anything that would suggest this whole notion of being needy, of being codependent, and the things that Dr. Field just pointed out here. Apparently, she is living currently in the LA area, and she says the guys that she has been dealing with, they seem to be gentlemen who desire, lack of better terminology, the ratchet woman, who's loud, who's obnoxious, who is self-centered. Um, I guess who's looking for that bag, who's a gold digger, and she's saying that she's not that woman. So the typical man, in her estimation, wants drama in their lives. Well, I have not met all men in the world, but I am very well traveled. Being prior military, I've been across the globe. I've lived in many places, and even in the current place where I live now, or even talking with other men. Um, I would have to say that ma'am here is sadly misguided. She is her perception of men is totally distorted, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit more concerning what men is she attracting. What is it about her that she continues to run into the same type of fellow that she is now saying that they're not compatible with her, they're not on her level. So we got to start taking in consideration, doing that self examination. What is it about me? I say that I want one type of person, but I constantly reflect, I constantly put out into the environment, I constantly put out into the atmosphere, I constantly put out into society, and I'm attracting these people that I don't want, but they still uh, find me, and I'm still entertaining these people. So let's get back to the clip and see what else she has to say and what type of guidance or information that Dr. Phil and Steve Harvey can provide for this lady.
So you're saying that because you're low drama, low maintenance, and don't throw hits. I don't throw fits. I've never asked a man to buy me anything ever. I've never ever actually even had a man ever buy me anything. So I wouldn't know. How do you go into a mall and go shopping and say, "Honey, I want that $500 purse"?
Okay, right here again, we are still stuck on the materialistic aspect of relationships. So again, this is going to beg the question, as we talked about in the first video. What is her perception of a relationship? What has she grown up around that would suggest that your whole essence or the definition of being dependent on a person or being having need of a person in a relationship is solely based off of what they can do for you from a financial and tangible perspective. Again, she is exuding a clear case here of strong and independent. And again, that there is nothing wrong with being strong and independent. My mother is a very strong and independent woman. My wife is a strong and independent woman. However, comma, that is within context. She's strong when she has to be, because she doesn't need to be strong all the time because she has me. She needs to be able to have a safe space to where she can just come and fall into my bosom and let me hold her and just let her know that everything is okay. When she's on her job, She's the boss, and people are coming to her every day, all day, asking for guidance, seeking direction, seeking mentorship. And when she comes home, when she comes to her castle, her humble abode, uh, she will tell you that it is nothing more freeing than to be able to take off that hat of running things and coming into an atmosphere to where she knows her man has it. That's what she needs at that moment, to be able to turn off and to be able to hand over the reins and say, I'm tired of making decisions for the day. Honey, you got it. It's yours. So she's strong when she needs to be, and she's independent when she needs to be. And that's one clear thing that we fail to realize when we're in relationships, is that we lose our independence. No, we're still two individuals. We're still two people. We're still two human beings with different likes, perspectives, desires, goals, all these things that that is encompassed of us, that makes us who we are. That does not mean that you lose yourself independently just because you are coexisting with somebody in a relationship. So yes, we are still independent, but the distortion of this terminology of independent has become something in society to mean that I don't need anyone. I don't need anybody. Well, that is so far from the truth, and a distorted view about yourself and about other people, to think that you don't need anyone in this world to help you, to be there for you, for support, for guidance, for nurturing, for insight, to be a sounding board, for love, companionship, friendship, all those things. So when we say this terminology of I'm strong and I'm independent, have we taken a self examination or a deep dive to think about why is it that we're saying these things? Again, are we distorted, or are we just not wanting to realize that maybe, just maybe, other people aren't always the problem if everyone that I encounter seems not to work? Well, there's a common denominator here, and it's ourselves. And in this young lady's situation here, she's saying that she's never had a man to, or correction, she's never needed a man to buy her anything. She doesn't know what it feels like to go into a store and says, "Honey, I want that bag. Can you buy it for me?" Well, maybe that's not been her experience. However, that begs the question again: what model, what influence, what life experiences has she had in her past that would suggest such a thing, that she does not find this to be normal to ask someone for something that you desire, and just to immediately say, well, I don't need to ask you for it because I can purchase it on my own. So again, I'm independent, I'm strong, I don't need anyone. And in her words earlier, I just want to be in a relationship because I want to be in one with you. And that's something very troubling. I just want to be in a relationship just because I want to. I don't need anything from you. I don't want anything from you, but I want to be in a relationship. That's quite interesting. Let's continue.
If I wanted it, I'd buy it. If you want to buy it for me, sure, but I shouldn't have to. How do you ask somebody that? Buy me that Coach bag. I don't know how to do that. So what's your question? Obviously, I don't.
And I'm glad Dr. Phil brought that up. He said, "So what is your question?" That is a very powerful statement. A lot of times you hear people giving all of this lip service, talking about I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, and they're want to have confidants. They're going to their friends, they're going to counselors, they're going to all these people giving lip service, but people are trying to figure out, well, what is your question? What do you want? And that is the hardest question to answer and to construct, the why question, because you have to put that thing in such a succinct way that the listener is able to comprehend and will be able to give you an appropriate, an accurate, and a substantiated response, um, that you can receive, that you can take, that you can grapple with, that you can process, and that you can move on with. Um, but yeah, Dr. Phil, I would really say he nailed that question. Like, you're saying all this stuff. What in the world is your question? What do you want? What do you want to know? So let's continue.
I think maybe I'm not needy enough because I see these girls literally throw hissy fits, and I hear girls all the time saying they basically what I would consider acting like a 2-year-old. They're a tantrum. Okay. And I don't want to do that. Well, let me say something that I think might be not right in your thinking, because, and this is really important for men.
So is she saying that the only way to get a man or to be in a relationship is to pitch a hissy fit, or to be so engrossed in the gentleman that she's with to where she feels as if she can't fend for herself? So again, here we have another distorted view about what it means to be in relationship with someone. Again, I'm going to keep going back to it. What example, what model has she seen in her life to suggest this? Who has coached her? Who has mentored her? Who has taken her under her wing to show her this is what a relationship looks like from the perspective of a man and from the perspective of a woman? How do you enter into the relationship? What do you bring to the table in a relationship? And so let's see what advice Dr. Phil has to share with her concerning her thinking, her thought pattern, her paradigm, her way of thinking, because I think he's catching on to it as well, as to she's coupling or triangulating various different situations here, and has come to a conclusion about a relationship or what her role should be in a relationship, just for her to say that she has someone or a man that is willing to take her on in a relationship.
Men think that a need is a weakness, and it is not a weakness to have a need for someone. And I'm not talking about a materialistic need. I'm talking about to need companionship, to need somebody's approval and support. You and I are both in the public eye, but it's really important that the women in our lives, our wives, are proud of who we are and what we do. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
More so than all the audiences out there.
Anybody.
If your wife is proud of you, then that makes you feel good. And that's a need. And I don't think it's a weakness to say that I want my wife, I want my family to be proud of us. That's a need. It's okay to be needy in a healthy way, but that's not a weakness on your part to say I don't have needs, and so do I need to become more needy? No, you just need to acknowledge if there are things that you want to be part of your life that you don't have right
And I'm tracking and I'm rocking with what Dr. Phil is saying right now. That there is an unhealthy need in a relationship, and there are healthy unhealthy needs in relationships. Now, again, she feels as if that she does not need um, a man to buy her anything, but by her definition and by her own admission, she's believing that she has to be totally dependent on a man to suggest in a man's thought process and the man's way of thinking that that's what it means for a man to choose a mate, to choose a woman, to choose someone to be in relationship with that you have to totally depend on me from a financial perspective, from a tangible perspective. And I'm going to go back to my original statement here. Not once throughout this conversation have we heard anything from her from a spiritual, a physical, and an emotional perspective of what it is that she's desiring or needing in a relationship. It has been everything dealing with surface level stuff about buying stuff, materialistic things. So we have not even moved past the superficial yet concerning her thought process and what it means to be in a relationship with a man. Let's continue.
Men just basically confuse me. I'm really ever since I moved to LA, I'm just like, okay, they text during dates, they're on cell phones during dates. I'm like, really? I mean, you tell them I'm gonna go dirt bike riding this weekend.
Where from that you came to LA from?
I've been back east for almost 14 years. So.
Where? A small town?
Oh no, like DC, New York.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
well, they got cell phones in DC.
Yeah, but I actually had the first dating experience, two bangers right off the road. The guy looked nothing like his picture. He must have took that picture like 10 years ago, and then he's on the cell phone the entire time. And I wasn't going to be rude and just be like, I'm leaving. So I sat there, but it's like really.
So again, I think Dr. Phil is, a bit confused here because I'm clearly confused. Um, she still has not asked the question that Dr. Phil asked of her. What is it that you are looking for? What is the question? Because she still hasn't asked it. She's going all the way around the world about the dates that she's been on and how they have gone and the guys that she's met. Um, again, clearly, again, I haven't heard anything about her being in a relationship currently or previously. She hasn't talked about any of the dynamics of her relationships that she's been engaging in or have engaged. She's talking about one-off situations or the dating. So again, that really begs the question too is where is she getting her information from? Is it from a lived experience or is it from something that she's hearing from other people? Is it things that she's uh, seeing on television? um it is very alarming because she has not said still one thing personally about relationships that she has been in.
See, you know what? You gotta have some standards about yourself. Why would you shouldn't sit through a date with a guy that's gonna be talking on the phone. Get up and leave, go home. You're not enjoying yourself. Get up and go home. You know, this woman right here, when we're at dinner.
So again, I understand what Steve Harvey is saying here. However, I think we have totally derailed from the conversation at this point. Now he's giving her from a totally different perspective of what Dr. Phil was talking about because he was trying to get her on track to try to figure out what is your question because you're talking about two totally different things. You're talking about dating, meeting people, your desire of not wanting to need someone, but then you're moving into your dating sphere of just meeting people in general. So those are two dichotomies here, which they can go together, they can correlate, but they're not causal at this point. And so now the conversation has shifted in Steve Harvey's realm of now he's trying to give her tidbits on how to conduct yourself on a date if you are not engaged or if you feel as if the person is not engaging with you. So yet again here is very unclear as to what this young lady is asking Quite frankly, I don't even believe she really knows how to formulate her question, which that's okay for the most part. But we got to be honest with ourselves when we're trying to figure out what is it that we really want in life. If we don't even really understand the question or really understand what we want and we haven't done the work on ourselves, it is truly unfair and an unrealistic expectation to put that on someone else to be able to fix that, to be able to answer that, as what she's trying to get Dr. Phil and Steve Harvey to answer right now.
We're at lunch and my phone rings. She just looks at me because this is her time. I gotta cut it off or just not know it. When she goes to get in the car, she goes and stands by her door because I have to come around and open her door. When we get out the car in the parking lot, she sits in the car until I come around and open the door.
I mean, that's
Now, I've
cool.
been
That's
sitting
fair. He's just
before.
giving
I
her
got out the car and was walking to
information
the
now
door.
on how to conduct herself on a date. I mean, we've totally derailed from the conversation right now.
Because she sits there. Yeah. Because that's her standards and requirements. And she just never. Yeah. You just got to make them.
Yeah, you teach people how to treat you. And, well, I've always said, I've been in a restaurant next to people that.
And again, they brought up a word here, standards. Again, it's one thing to create standards for other people, but are we able to meet those same standards of ourselves? And just my impression of what I'm getting from this young lady, she's really feeling and believing that she is a prize. She's a catch, and there's nothing wrong with her. It's everybody else. And again, so that's what we're talking about here, where we need to do we need to do the work on ourselves. We need to take a step back and figure out what it is that we want in life. What is it about me? Are we having unrealistic expectations? And to do the work on ourselves. And when we say that we're strong and then we're independent, that we don't need anybody in life, we are so delusional, we're lying to ourselves. So it's not the fact that you're strong and independent. Could it very well be that sometimes we are just intolerable, thus which makes us lonely? So um, let's do the work on ourselves and let's continue the conversation. So this has been your boy, Dr. Eric Coleman. Again, please follow me on Instagram at Dr. Eric K. Coleman and subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Dr. Eric K. Coleman Show. Until next time, peace.